He does everything to go wrong, so he ends up alone. I've always been enthusiastic about listening to Hatch's stories on a podcast that I regularly follow and thought it was time to share my own. I've been a bass player for about 20 years. 6 years ago, I posted an ad as a bass player looking for local bands or projects in Rise, with a preference for progressive metal and similar genres. I ended up getting a message from a guitarist who was looking to bring musicians together for a similar idea. I responded with enthusiasm and we got off to a good start. The guitarist invited me to his house to get to know each other. He rented a house on a farm with his girlfriend. They were extremely friendly and cordial, but there was something peculiar about Lavi. He wasn't rude, nor did he act like a controlling person, nor did he expect too much from me. He was very happy to see that I was skilled on my own instrument. However, he was just of those people who seemed socially awkward, uptight and introverted, with no sense of humor. But I was there for the music, and we had the ease and enthusiasm to play together. I could improvise on your songs the first or second time I heard them. Everything was going well. In the end, he told me he was satisfied with me as a bassist and wanted me to meet some people the next time we met. Met a drummer named Sam and a secondary vocalist guitarist named Vincent. I brought some beers and we played some original songs for a few hours. It seemed like a good combination. However, after 2 rehearsals, I was informed that the last rehearsal would be Sam's last. He mentioned work and plans to move, which was perfectly understandable. At that point, the 3 had known for years, and I was the newbie. But Sam just disappeared, and I never heard from him again. That's how life is sometimes. We started the search for a new drummer, and before the next rehearsal, Lavi said that he had invited someone to check his skills. However, when the rehearsal arrived, we asked for this person, and Lavi said that she was no longer there, as if she was terrible and incapable of doing things. He used derogatory words to refer to this person, even without me hearing or knowing that person. It looked like the 2 had gotten into a fight somehow. We postponed rehearsal that night. During that time, I got a new job that paid me double what I was making before. I was ecstatic to get my life in order. However, my new schedule only allowed me to have every other weekend off, which forced us to adjust the rehearsal schedule. But, as I already mentioned, my work needed to come a bit of our repertoire, and he was able to quickly capture our rhythm. When she went out for a smoke, we were paired up for a few minutes and we definitely clicked together pretty dynamically. Before, Crow was my favorite drummer, but now it is not. In the week before the next rehearsal, Lavi started saying some really weird things out of context. I had to ask what he was talking about in the band chat as I didn't understand. He was saying negative things about Crow, calling him a loser. Sure, he's a good drummer, but he is just a boy who lives with his girlfriend. I was surprised to learn that her ex-boyfriend still lives with them. Although this situation is uncomfortable, it was not causing any obvious emotional problems for Crow. In my opinion, if the guy wanted to play the drums, he asked to play, he had time for it and he was good at it. I didn't care about his personal life. Lavi was very obsessed with this and told us during the conversation. So I sent a message to Crow asking about it, and I think that the situation was exaggerated. He told me that Lavi asked who he lived with, and Crow explained the situation. The subject exploded in a painful way, with insults and criticism of his life. I tried to minimize the damage and said that no one else was saying that about him. I wanted him to know that he was great and that his drumming was great too. I knew I'd have to talk to Lavi about the damage done and that we'd probably have to go our separate ways regardless. Crow said it wasn't a big deal and the situation was still tense, but I thanked him for everything and prepared myself for the next step. I made it clear to Lavi that under no circumstances could he treat people that way. I set a limit and said I wouldn't let it ruin my reputation in the area's music scene, because he is an impulsive person. Playing in a band with someone who looks down on random musicians for different life circumstances reflect evil not only on the person, but also on the group with which he is associated. He relented and there wasn't much else he could do but apologize. I don't know if he accepted them, but I think he was the most mature man to accept my apology from the start, so I hope that was enough. We ended up finding a new drummer who worked really well with us. No more drama with drummers. We managed to overcome that, but the story is not over yet. I'm on my way to work when he tells me that his girlfriend broke up with him and he needs to talk to someone. I'm about to say I just got off work, but my boss comes to me and says it's urgent. I sigh and tell him to meet me at a nearby cafe. When we meet, Lavi is visibly downcast and begins to vent about the breakup. He talks about the problems they've been facing for a while and how lost he feels now that it's all over. I listen carefully, offering support and encouraging him to express his feelings. While I'm not a relationship expert, I try to provide a safe space for him to share his emotions. We talk for a long time, and I try to help him to reflect on the situation in a positive way, encouraging him to take care of himself and seek adequate emotional support. In the end, Lavi looks a little more relieved, though still sad. I offer him my continued support and suggest that he consider seeking therapy or counseling to deal with the breakup and the emotions that arose from it. I also mention the importance of focusing on your personal well-being and your passions, like music, to help you get through this rough patch. As we say goodbye, we agree to stay in touch and see how the other is doing. Despite the problems we had in the band, I realize that Lavi is a person who is going through a difficult time and deserves understanding and support. At the end of the day, the human aspect is fundamental and even though we've decided to go our separate ways musically, we can offer emotional support each other as friends. In the days that follow, I keep in regular contact with Lavi to make sure he is handling the situation well. I send text messages or make calls to check how he's feeling and if there's anything I can help with. I encourage you to engage in activities that leave you happy and distract you from the sadness a little, like going out with friends, going to concerts or dedicating yourself more to music. Also, I suggest that he seek professional support, such as a therapist, to help him work through his emotions and overcome the breakup in a healthy way. I explain that a specialized professional can offer proper guidance and effective strategies for dealing with emotional pain. Meanwhile, I'm also dealing with my own feelings about the band breaking up. Although the separation, as difficult as it may have been, I recognize that each member of the band has their own journeys and needs. I learned to value the experiences we've had together and look for new musical opportunities to grow and develop myself as an artist. Over time, Lavi begins to gradually recover. He finds comfort in music and the support of friends and family. Gradually, he begins to explore individual music projects and rebuild his confidence and passion for music. The two of us continue to stay in touch, sharing our musical achievements and challenges. Although we went our separate ways, we remained friends and rooted for each other. We learned that life is full of ups and downs. But mutual support and empathy are essential to overcome difficulties. Ultimately, the experience of breaking up with the band teaches us to value human connections, the importance of emotional care and the resilience needed to move forward. And, who knows, maybe one day our ways music can intersect again in a different way, with new opportunities and learning.